episode 72 of the Comic Watchers Show. As ever, I am your host, Matt Meyer, and with me, as per usual, are my co-hosts, Nick Osborne and Mike Eakins. Gentlemen, how are we doing this week? That's a loaded question. How are...
Silence.
As me and Nick are waiting, like, who's going to go first?
This is kind of a heavy week.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, obviously, there's so much going on in the world right now, and in the country and our individual states. It almost feels small to be talking about comics, and it just kind of goes to show that, you know, nothing is going untouched by the current pandemic. Nothing. And it's a lot to take in. And there's all kinds of social norms that we're all having to get used to. Many of us are teleworking if we're lucky. Many others are furloughed or have been laid off, and it's just a tough time all around. But obviously for the comics industry in the last week, the biggest news was that Diamond wasn't going to ship any more new titles for the foreseeable future. That of course sets off, just is like an atom bomb going off in the industry, because everybody gets their comics from Diamond. And you know, there's logical business reasons behind it, because if states are mandating that comic stores as non-essential are closing down, then where is Diamond supposed to send their stuff to? So I understand it. And you know, how the industry copes with it is something that we're going to talk about this week, but at length. And but first of all, Mike, if you want to just kind of go in on the details as much as you can as to the Diamond situation.
Yeah, it was announced March 23rd that they were suspending shipments of new products until further notice. Now, that phrase, until further notice, is super scary, regardless of what you're talking about. Anytime you say until further notice, it's just a scary phrase. You just don't know what you're getting into. But from Chairman and CEO Steve Jeppy, and directly quoting, therefore, his only logical conclusion is to cease the distribution of new weekly product until there is greater clarity on the progress made towards stemming the spread of this disease. Now, kind of going into that and that unknown of how you're going to get your comics, a lot of companies have came to the rescue, in a sense, and have came up with different programs and different kind of ways to offset, or at least to kind of offset, the burden of no new product, right? I know the local shops here, they're running sales, they're extending sales, so they're doing whatever they can, 10 people at a time in a shop. So we're lucky here on the eastern part of Virginia here, because our shops haven't, knock on wood, haven't shut their doors yet. So we're pretty lucky.
You're very lucky. Yeah. In Oklahoma, shops got about a day's notice, 24 hours.
Yeah.
That was it. So yeah, first they were dumbstruck by the news from Diamond, and then all of a sudden the governor says, well, in 24 hours, you got to shut your doors down.
Yeah.
So yeah, my LCS ran a hellified sale.
Mm-hmm.
I helped about as much as I could. And just so many, now not just comic stores, but small businesses in general are in this position right now where everything is up in the air.
Yeah. And on a side note, really quick, I had went to my office this past Monday to check some stuff and everything. And I drive through, I work for a college, and I drive through obviously a college town, a downtown, and which is normally booming. It was shut down. Like, no one was going through the crosswalks. Coffee shops were shut down. Restaurants were shut down, even chain restaurants. and it was just so weird. So yeah, Matt, we are extremely lucky here in Eastern Virginia that our shops are still open. Limited hours. And limited people that can come in at the same time, but we're still we're trying to get along as much as we can, as much as the rest of the country is. So anyway, a couple we're going to go through the news here. We're going to go through some of the companies that are offering some kind of buffer, and I'm going to talk kind of quick. But if we do have any questions, guys, let me know. I do have my for the watchers at home that are going to watch this, I do have my iPad over here, and so if you see me kind of looking off to the side or something, that's just me reading from some direct press releases in case Matt and Nick have any questions. The first one is going to come from Boom Studios. They have named theirs the Boom Retailer Support Services Program, a comprehensive set of initiatives effective immediately to aid comic book shops worldwide affected by the current health crisis. The first one is going to be a full returnability through June. All items that are shipped between March 18th through June 24th are fully returnable via an affidavit, which Boom has sent to LCSs and people that are receiving Boom's product. Their next one is Boost Your LCS Paid Promotion. Boom Studios is going to increase the target advertising and promotion around comic shops and specifically spotlight stores offering safe services like curbside mail order options using the hashtag BoostYourLCS. So for any of our watchers on Twitter, make sure you're following that hashtag. Even if you're not active on Twitter, if you just follow it for news, make sure you're following that hashtag. Very important, especially in this time.
Say it again.
That hashtag is hashtag BoostYourLCS. Say it again, BoostYourLCS. And right now, according to Boom, they are at about 360,000 subscribers right now to that hashtag alone. So make sure you jump on that and help them out. They are also, let me go ahead and get squared away here, a rare variant cover gift set. Boom Studios will offer retailers a direct cash infusion by providing previously released rare and popular variant covers for free to qualifying diamond accounts. So that's going to be one of your things you're going to want to check with your LCS about. Even if they're not open, if they are closed, unfortunately, send them an email, Facebook Messenger, call them on the phone, something.
Well, and that's an important note too, is a lot of comic shops are doing something online.
Yes, they are.
Check with LCS, see if and what they are doing digitally, and support them however you can.
Yeah, and I know, actually, I want to say, and once again, a very lucky, I'm very lucky at this. Most of my LCSs, I know my main LCS is on eBay. And I know some other local shops are on eBay as well. So you can always contact them through eBay, reach out, do what you got to do, and help them out, because this isn't going to last forever. So if you can, whatever you can partake in, definitely take the steps if you can. The next step Boom is going to do is a monthly one per store variant cover. They're going to provide new, previously released, unannounced one per store variant covers each month through December of 2020. So definitely check that out. They have a Diamond Submit variant. Boom Studios is going to deliver the free Diamond Submit retailer variant cover for Faithless 2 #1. We've mentioned this book a couple times. I'm a fan of Faithless. The first time, Nick, I don't appreciate that smirk, but because we're in a pandemic, I am going to thank you for that smirk, sir. We all remember that
Thank you, sir. I have another.
where I was shamed. No, but definitely this was something when I was reading the presser and stuff, I was like, I'm going to be, like, oh, hey, wait a second. Let me drive down to Trilogy Shop in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Norfolk, Virginia. Shout out to the LCS. But anyway, that's one of the ones that are going to happen. Exclusive convention variant opportunities. Boom is going to offer select variant covers that were previously going to be offered for the 2020 conventions. So definitely check those out. And once again, contact your LCS, Facebook, eBay, phone, Twitter, whatever you got. Make sure you check it out. Let's see. The next company we are going to talk about is going to be AWA Studios. Another, this is really cool because they're super independent. They're super new. We've talked about them on the show before. They are launching Webtoons Comic Viewer. And they are going to release the Resistance 1 digitally, an initiative to vertical scrolling format, beginning Wednesday, March 25th. Now, I will say that there is a bunch of links that that AWA sent us through a presser. So I'm going to say this, say the website twice, so our watchers can maybe scroll there, write it down, do whatever. So the AWA website is going to be awastudios.net. You want to go to awastudios.net/comic/the resistance TAC 1, little -1, if you will. And so that's going to lead you there to their digitally released comic. AWA Studios is also going to embed the Resistance 1 on the website, so you can be able to, they're going to kind of offer it free, and they got a bunch more different incentives. Hit up that website. They're a brand new company, so they're really doing what they can do, because I mean, they have like, I think like 5 or 6 books and 2 maybe out now. So it's really super impressive that this company is jumping out doing and offering a book for free and stuff like that. So definitely check out awastudios.net for some good content there. Moving on. Actually, let me pause right here. So let me ask Nick or Matt, do you guys have any questions so far or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I do want to say it is extremely impressive that AWA, being such a new company, is willing to take the leap like this. I mean, it's at least partially out of self-preservation. Let's not be, let's not split hairs on that. Yeah. But it would be so easy for them to get lost amid this shuffle, like right as their big rollout is happening. Right. So, definitely a company worth keeping an eye on. They've got a ton of stacked talent working for them. Yep. Axel Alonso is their editor-in-chief. They got J. Michael Straczynski, Mike Deodato Jr., Garth Ennis, Michael Morici, just an endless list of top shelf talent. You really do want to pay attention to this company because I think they're going to be pretty big.
Mm-hmm. And if I can actually say, like, Boom has been doing a great job for quite a few years now with helping their LCSs. That Boost Your LCS tag came from like 2017, I think. Mm-hmm. And they were really quick to, their CEO, Ross Ritchie, was really quick to put out a statement saying, this is where everything's going to change for the industry. And, this is what needs to happen to help your LCSs through this. And they kind of outlined this returnability program and different incentives and stuff, like the hashtag that, it means more now than it ever did before. And I think that, these companies stepping up Image also, I'm sure we're going to talk about them. Yeah. They've done a lot in this time. And I think, these type of maybe smaller publishers or people really in the industry are stepping up in interesting ways and trying to do what they can.
Right.
So it's not necessarily a unified effort in all of this. It's a lot of these publishers just doing what they can with the limited information that they have.
Right. And I mean, let's be honest. The big two are owned by mega corporations. They can absorb this hit. You know,
And
can
to be
Action
honest,
Lab, can AWA,
Right.
maybe even could IDW, you know? Those are the guys that are really going to struggle and feel this right now.
Even Valiant put out a statement, thanking their support from DMG Entertainment after that transaction or that transfer happened. And those companies that don't have that larger umbrella support above them, those are the ones that I've noticed are also stepping up really hard in these times. And they're kind of doubling down on their support for the industry. And it's a complicated question, and what you can do to help these stores. But I think with everybody doing what they can, it's kind of taking this industry to a whole new direction. And
absolutely, it's building. And I'm sorry if I interrupt you. I didn't mean to, but it's reinforcing that sense of community, not just amongst fans, but between creators, reviewers like us, and so on and so forth, and just really hammering home that notion that we are all part of the same community. And we may not be able to see each other at WonderCon this year or whatever, but we're still here for each other. So Mikey, what you got next?
Oh, excuse me. The next company we're going to talk about is Aspen is going to be suspending their spring and summer lineup of new releases, including April's Fathom and May's Soulfire Exiled, in an effort to assist retailers during the uncertainty for the market. The publisher does hope that this move will help retailers as they are facing difficult ordering decisions across the industry's offering of titles. So that's another company that is definitely, obviously, like, Matt, you were talking about the big two that can, burden this hit. But can a company like Aspen, can they take this? So they're doing their part as well. You talked about Image earlier in a statement from Eric Larson and oh my God, I can't remember his first. We'll just say with Eric Larson because he did bank on this statement. Eric Stevenson, thank you. They are accepting returns on their books should retailers, kind of need to make up for that, for those accounts and stuff like that. So there is that as well. On to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. Obviously, we know what's up.
Oh, I just said this is a big one. CBLDF.
This is. Everyone knows their work, knows their background, so I'm not going to get in. But they have just, I'm talking about a Hulk size during this time. And obviously, their website is cbldf.org. Once again, cbldf.org. Ton of links. Go to the website, check it out. So we're going to get a quick rundown. Matt and Nick, if you want to stop me, please let me know because I do have their whole email pulled up. And then we can always dig into that a little deeper if you guys have questions.
Let's hear what they got. CBLDF is an important outlier for the industry.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So the first one we're going to talk about really quickly is a comprehensive state-by-state clearinghouse resource for financial aid, training tools, and other information to support industry businesses. And once again, that is going to be on the website, cbldf.org. The next one is a new directory of CBLDF member stores with links and details about what they are doing to engage with our customers during this crisis, which is a really cool link as well, because they kind of talk about, they dig into the LCSs and what we can do. Kind of what we already talked about a little bit is contacting them, the eBay, the Twitter, the Facebook, and stuff like that. And maybe
like my grandma. The Twitter, the internet, the YouTubes.
Right. Yeah. If you got the AOL disc that you get from Walmart, throw that in the old PC, fire up the Millennial Edition, and get on the internets. You know,
Listen, we
would
gotta laugh while we
you.
can these days, folks.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, that kind of deals with you know, people, if your shops have gift cards and stuff like that, buy it now, tuck it away in your favorite Venom comic, and then maybe in a few weeks you can go back to your shop and use that gift card because it's still money. You're just not spending it that day. They also have
if I can interject in there,
me?
If I can make a quick point, I did that with my LCS, and they brought up an interesting point that when you buy these gift cards, mine was actually having to hold that funds for tax reasons, so it didn't make it immediately available for them. And I was curious if that had any impact on other shops, or if that was just something my local shop or this area does. But it might be something to take note of in that usage of gift certificates.
See, that's why we say Texas. I'm gonna throw that out there, you know. And by the way, any other watchers in Texas, I do apologize, but Texas.
I know.
Hashtag.
I'm from Oklahoma.
Keep it as lighthearted as ever. No, I dig all the Texas watchers for real. But no, that's actually a very good thing to pull up. And then I know actually we're taping this and other watchers are going to check this out, but please, if drop comments about that. I mean, if you hear your shop saying that, yeah, you can buy a $10, $15, $50, whatever you got gift card, but unfortunately we got to withhold that until you cash that in. That's definitely something that we would love to hear in the comments, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, whatever you're logged on to, just let us know. We're going to bring MySpace back, by the way.
It's happening.
Anyway, let's see. Remote retailing, sales strategies for stores affected by a shutdown, shares and sales, and marketing solution stores that can put in place to ride out this crisis. I dipped into this one a little bit out of my realm, as this is obviously the sales and the marketing. So for you retailers out there, or if you know a retailer, maybe you slide them that address on cbldf.org, and all this stuff is on their website. You can easily search the subject that we're talking about, and it's going to take you to that page as well. March 20, what is today? The 27th. Actually, that happened today at 2 p.m., so we're not going to go over that, but they might have a taping of this. So I'm going to actually mention this really quick. They did a remote retailing webinar earlier today. I do not know if that's going to be on the website, so definitely check that out. It has the owner-operator of Carolyn Johns Comics, Adam Freeman, the owner-operator of Prana Direct Marketing Solutions, Jen King, owner-operator of Space Cadets Collections, and Morgan Perry, retail sales coordinator for Boom Studios, and moderated by CBLDS Community Development Manager Sienna Fallon. It's a training webinar with practical strategies and best practices for helping retailers adapt to their businesses. So that is definitely something to possibly check out as well. And moving on, we'll continue to to all, to different projects that they're doing. So definitely check, keep your eye out on cbldf.org for more news and updates as it's this whole just really, pardon my French, but shitty pandemic, and how we just move on and continue to work through this. Toy Comics announced that they are going to delay the publications of 2 of their upcoming titles in the light of the global pandemic. The debut issue of Ash and Thorn is a story who becomes a reluctant savior of the world, will be delayed from April 1st until April 29th. In addition, the release of Billionaire Island #2, the second issue in the darkly satirical series about billionaires escaping to a floating island, will be delayed from April 8th to April 15th. And the freelance ops director, Stuart Moore, from Ahoy, is a direct quote, says, "To be clear, Ahoy is not suspending operations. We're delaying the launch of Ash and Thorn in order to give this unique new title a chance to find its audience, and removing Billionaire Island 2 in order to space out our new releases better." So once again, a small company that is just trying their best to, adhere to the LCSs, adhere to their fans, and kind of help out where necessary. And really, excuse me, stuff like this, I mean, even something as small as that, I mean, it helps, because, I mean, just because it's
Absolutely.
not a big 2 book, or maybe the book may not be selling, a million copies or something like that. I think something like this, we all got to remember that every little bit helps. Like, just because you can't give $1 million and you give 5, well, that $5 is still just as good as $1 million.
Absolutely. So, Mike, what are the big 2 doing right now to digitally
I haven't
help retailers or anything like that? Because that's kind of the big game right now.
Yeah. I will say, and I'm going to ask you guys to back me up on this, I haven't seen anything as far as from the big 2 as what is going on, as far as like anything from DC or DC Universe or Marvel and Marvel Unlimited. Probably the biggest thing is like Comixology, in their free trial, they're extending it to 60 days. It's normally for 30. So for you digital folk, or you actually maybe for you anti-digital folk, now would be the time to jump on that free 60 days. But as I'm kind of scrolling through Twitter and email and stuff like that, I haven't really seen anything from DC or Marvel. But gentlemen, you tend to get you send me emails from time to time. So if there's anything that you guys have seen or heard, please.
To the best of my knowledge, and to completely back up what you were saying, both Marvel and DC have been extremely cagey as to how
good. So it's not just
plans are rolling out. Now, one very telling sign is that at the website, we typically get our preview copies for the following week on a Friday, with the exception of Marvel, who ships on a Monday.
Yeah.
And we got nothing from anybody today.
Yeah.
So that tells me, obviously books, yes, they're on hold, but it kind of seems to answer the question that's been lingering out there for a lot of people. And that's, are books going to be released digitally in lieu of being released in print during this odd time in our history? And it appears, I mean, I would assume anyway, that they would probably have given us some previews if they were intending to release digitally. I mean, that's just me playing detective a little bit. And maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't know. But that also opens the floodgates to the question, well, if they do release everything digitally, what happens to the print books when, Diamond does start shipping again and stores are open again? Right. So everything is just so up in the air right now. And unfortunately, there's just not as much answers, as many answers as we'd like, which is kind of why we're just running through and trying to get as many facts out as we can, because, quote unquote fake news, to use a popular term, unfortunately, abounds. And, we just want to make sure that you guys know what's going on, retailers, readers, alike. So
we have been able to pretty much confirm that Marvel reached out to a lot of local comic shops There's been a lot of owners who have said that Marvel has reached out to him directly, but nobody has really given any info on what was discussed, what Marvel's doing. But it seems like that there are things in the works. But I gotta say, I'm surprised that the big two are the last ones we're hearing from now.
That is really weird, and a lot of that probably has to do with the corporate ownership, bureaucracy, red tape, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And another thing, I'm unaware, and if you guys have heard differently, please get my foot out of my mouth. But I'm unaware of any creators being told to stop working.
That's been pretty much all over Twitter. The pencils down order.
Really?
Yeah, I know G. Willow Wilson tweeted out that they had gotten the pencils down order, but that tweet got deleted. I know Capullo has gotten it. There's been a lot of different artists and creators that have been.
Okay, well, that was news to me. So sorry, listen to Nick, not me.
Oh no, yeah,
it went over to a certain group who I refuse to even name on the show. They're claiming, victory of sorts and stuff like that, but
that group.
I'm not even going to say it. I probably shouldn't have brought it up, but it was just, I fell down the Twitter rabbit hole earlier today, and it was vile, just vile words, and it's horrible.
But it is unfortunate. There have
people
been
claiming to love comics celebrating the so-called demise of the modern comic industry right now.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do without those people.
Yeah. But the pencils down order has happened. It seems like it's super temporary right now, and that it's just, a matter of whenever things get rolling again, pencils are going to be brought back up, and this thing's going to get going again.
Right. And now, the good news about that is there's tons of self-publishers out there people on Kickstarters who have a lot of work that is really cool, obviously under the radar, and deserves some attention. And this is, a good time for them to get some exposure. We're actually talking to a handful of indie creators right now about possibly coming on the show and doing some reviews for their books to help them get a little spotlight right now that they might not get otherwise. So
exactly. I think, what we can do at Comic Watch to anybody listening that has a project going on, a Kickstarter, they know any indie creators that need a spotlight or that need, the spotlight shown on them to bring attention to what they're doing, get in touch with us. Get in touch with us, Facebook, Twitter, email nicholas@comic-watch.com. Get to us and we'll help in any way we can in kind of elevating these stories that are still being told that people should, I believe, know about right now, especially in these times.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because there's tons of indie, especially since we just got done talking about Comixology. There's tons of great stuff. On Comixology originals. So there's tons of content out there waiting to be read, waiting to be discovered and stuff like that. So just because it's not, and now is the perfect time to discover someone that doesn't wear a cape or a cowl or tights. Go out there and just, log on to Comixology and just hit that discover button and pick a book. Pick a book. It's a 50-50 chance that you're either going to like it or you're not going to like it, but every little bit helps, because you could sit here and you could discover an artist or a writer, and now you're buying their books, regardless if it's a Kickstarter, regardless if it's on just their Comixology. Check in your local cities. Maybe there's local artists around that have their own books. I discovered a local artist at a convention, a semi-local convention, that I'm absolutely in love with, so I'm always tweeting out their stuff. I'm always sharing their stuff on Facebook. So, just because it's not a big two, just because not wearing masks and capes and tights, doesn't mean it's not a good story. And don't be afraid to just close your eyes and just point and read a book. You never know what you're gonna, exactly. Get that. get that Russian roulette going. And what else you gonna do, especially if you're teleworking? I meant comic Russian roulette, Matt. I see that. Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. That's like a very
wait a
dark
second.
turn, Mike.
What are we doing? No. But don't be afraid if you're teleworking or, God forbid you're furloughed or you're taking some time off and you need some comics relief. Now is the time to log in and hit that discover button and maybe discover a new book, discover a new artist, new writer, reach out to them on Twitter, Facebook. Now is definitely a bonding time between creator, writer, and fan that you might not get at another time. So definitely strike when it's hot.
Totally. So, Mike, we're running a little short on news time. What are there any other major publishers we haven't touched on that are throwing some good stuff out there, are doing good things for the industry? Like Dark Horse is the one I'm thinking of mainly that we haven't talked about.
I am looking for some backup. I know they have suspended they're not going to go digital. And they're kind of suspending all of their publications right now, from what I have gathered.
Haven't really heard much from Dark Horse, but TKO actually just put out a pretty cool incentive program. Right. If I understood it correctly, and forgive me if I'm misspoken here, but they are doing a program where if you buy a book from your shop, in that shop, and you can provide proof to them, that TKO is going to send half the cost of that book to the shop. Yep. So they're basically doubling the profit margins of these books. And
that's awesome.
I think that's a cool move. They're a small publisher, yes, but it's cool.
That's
and TKO is another one of those companies where, like I was talking about, playing a friendly version of comics Russian roulette, where you can just kind of, spin some stuff and grab a book from them and discover new writer, new artists, and stuff like that. So it's definitely a great program.
Absolutely. Definitely. Well, I think that pretty much gets us up to speed on the news of the week until tomorrow when everything changes again. So one thing that we really wanted to do for you all, our loyal audience, is provide some quarantine relief reading material choices for you. So stuff to get your mind off of this and hopefully lift you up a little bit, make you feel a little bit better about what's going on in the world. We each picked around 3 things that we really just want to talk about. Unfortunately, we still could not secure a bear for Mike to wrestle this week. So that's on the back burner, but we haven't forgotten. Listen, once this coronavirus stuff is gone, that bear he's on. It's on. It's happening. But Nick, what was the first thing
you want to do it for American
folks?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, at a time like this is what I do. I read. Comics are escapism, and that's kind of the entirety of it, I think, and that's what we're looking for here. But I'm not trying to recommend The Walking Dead or 30 Days of Night right now. That's not what I'm going. That's not even what I'm gravitating to. And I'm a huge horror fan. Right off the bat, if somebody asks me what to read right now, it's Faith. Valiant Comics, their character Faith is the height of positivity. I mean, Ken actually, from the Valiant Watch show, he said if there's somebody who doesn't like Faith, it's kind of like when a dog comes up to somebody and they don't really like them. There's something there. Faith is a character that is the height of likable. I mean, she is everything you want in a positive superhero. She kind of gets into the Valiant lore of being a psyot, which is essentially Marvel's mutants, but she gets away from that really quick. She leaves. She's kind of introduced through this renegade family that are broken off of Harbinger psyots, and she spins out on her own super quick. Got really popular. Everybody kind of knows the image of Faith and who this character generally is.
I don't.
Yeah?
No, I don't. No.
You're definitely missing out.
Definitely. She's a character. She A quick origin: she was raised by her grandmother. She got orphaned after a car accident. But the big thing about her is she's basically a fangirl, huge into comics, into sci-fi, into all things superheroes, and dreams of one day flying. And the big thing about her is she brings representation to larger characters. This is not a superhero that is super slim and fit and, in this tight, slinky suit. This is a character. Faith essentially brings representation to larger people. And this is something that just transcends a lot of boundaries. And I think in doing that, she's the fangirl. She loves superheroes, but society looks at her in a way that you could never be that. It's cute that you're a fan, but you can't be that. Well, then she gets the ability to fly. And she is that superhero that she's always loved. And oh my gosh, it's amazing. Everybody complains about Superman not smiling enough. Faith smiles every book, basically. This is like awesome. You want to smile after reading this book. Go check it out.
Awesome.
Like it's incredible.
All right, sorry. It sounds awesome. Actually, it sounds like something I would genuinely love, and I think that was the point. Yeah. So, Mike, what's your first pick for quarantine?
My first pick is going to be something that I absolutely adore from my teenage years, even till now. I own collected works. I own the individual issues. It's something that I absolutely love, but it's Maximum Carnage, the run that kind of I remember as a teenager, and all three of these runs that I'm going to recommend kind of hold like a special happy feeling. Now their stories may not be happy, but they're just books that I've always carried with me, be it on family road trips or be it on deployments or what have you. But anyway, everyone, and some people may not know the story Maximum Carnage, but it's 14 issues collected over from Amazing Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, and it is just gloriousness, right? So this is the good collected edition is on Comixology, and you're going to get some bonus one-shot information. And basically, it's Spider-Man, it's Venom, going up against Carnage. Excuse me, and Carnage is just running rampant over the city, and they're kind of bonding together to basically defeat Carnage. And it's one of those stories. Like I said, from my teenage years till now, it's a comfort. I'm a huge symbiote, huge Spider-Man fan. So this is something that when we were talking about it and pre-show ideas, this was the first thing that kind of popped up. Didn't even have to think about it. Oh, we're going to recommend some feel-good stories, if you will. Now I don't know how feel story. Excuse me.
There's a body count be Maximum Carnage. Right, to feel good.
But no, and like I said, this story, I just remember seeing Carnage for the first time or Venom as the first time as a teenager, and in 300, and then obviously you got Amazing 252, and it was all just kind of downhill from there. But yeah, Maximum Carnage is definitely going to be my first series, my first run. That if I'm on an island, this is definitely that. I'm either taking the 14 issues or I'm taking the collected versions. But yeah, Maximum Carnage is definitely coming with me on that deserted island for sure.
I love it. So for my big beating the quarantine blues run, I'm going to direct you all the way also back to the 90s, which just goes to prove me and Mike's age, I think. A little less so, Nick. But Savage Dragon, Eric Larson, man. Pretty much, as far as I can tell, the whole series is on Comixology. It is pure smash pow, over the top, fun escapism. Okay? If you've never read a Savage Dragon comic, you're missing out. And I mean, it's going 247 issues strong now, written and drawn, and occasionally also inked, colored, lettered by by Eric Larson. It could not
The
be
man himself.
tried. And I just love Savage Dragon. It's like you were saying, Mike, it's one of those books. It takes me back to when I was 15, 16 years old, starting to branch out Big Two for the first time. I see this comic where the devil is in a fist fight with God on the cover, and I'm like, I have to buy this. What is happening here? And I've been an addict ever since. So again, Comixology Archives edition of Savage Dragon, hella cheap. Promise it'll put a smile on anybody's face, even the most jaded of fans. So
and if I could add really quickly, that Savage Dragon does take place in the glorious city of Chicago. He's probably a Bears fan too. And by the way, really quick before he hand it off to Nick, that Eric Larson is still talking smack on the post. By the way, Matt, he did reply earlier.
Oh man,
check that.
Man, we don't even want to get into that.
He is still hammering on you right now, sir.
I love Eric Larson. So Nick, what do you have? What's your second choice for Quarantine Blues?
Okay, Quarantine Blues. I going a bit more heartfelt. I don't know if we've talked about. I think we talked about it on the show. IDW's Kanto.
Ooh, yes, we did.
If you're looking for something uplifting, something heartfelt that has a lot of emotion to it, I really can't imagine a book with more heart than Kanto. It's about this little knight who is essentially born into slavery and has an actual heart. This is something that they're able to explore through a lot of different aspects, but it's high fantasy. It's got I don't know if you remember the animated movie 9. It really feels like that. It kind of has that aesthetic to it, but it's ultimately about relationships, and there's a strong sense of community in this book and what it means to foster relationships and to find yourself individuality and your heartfelt responses to these hardships. Kanto is a story that's really inspired, I think, by the Wizard of Oz. I think there's a lot of those elements at play in it. And David Mbuer, the writer, is working on another series that's kind of building off the first volume already. And it's something that I think a lot of readers can find solace in right now. And kind of this story, maybe it's a bit epic for what's happening, but it's all the heart that I could ever want in a book. And that's kind of what I'm looking for right now, is that heartfelt emotion. And Kanto delivers it in spades. It's just brilliant reading. It's paced incredible. The artwork's insanely good, but every book just melts your heart. I mean, it really does. It just, I binged the whole thing, and I can't get enough of it. It's just really great stuff.
Yeah. If I can just throw my 2 cents in there, just like Nick was saying with Faith, if you don't like Kanto, there's something fundamentally damaged in the cockles of your soul. It's
Matt
such
said
a
that. I did.
book. So, Mikey, what you got for round 2?
Yeah, round 2 is going to be something that I discovered. Again, in my teenage years, being a huge Silver Surfer and Ron Mars fan, is Thor: Blood and Thunder. This run collects Thor 468 through 471, Silver Surfer 86 through 88, the Warlock Chronicles, the Infinity Watch. When we're doing that as well. So basically, Thor is going crazy. And it's up to Beta Ray Bill, Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock, even Odin gets involved to kind of calm him down and bring him back to normal. This was something that I was a little late to. Like I said, it was probably, I don't know, we'll say junior year. So obviously, I think, I believe this was going on in the late 80s. So we'll say like 89, right? 88, 89.
Blood and Thunder was more like 93, I think.
Was it that late? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember distinctly, we were at a comic shop. My buddy that we used to go to the comic shop right outside of St. Louis together had mentioned this run. I wasn't really a huge Thor fan. I'm still not, but I mean, I'll read Thor, But once I got these issues together and interlocked them, man, it was great, And then you found out just about Mars and Starlin and just this story, and it turned into once again this Maximum Carnage type of story to where I always had to have it. So I find myself going back to it constantly when you're held up, or if you're just looking for something that has pretty much every icon that you could ever want almost in a Marvel story. And this would be it. Thor: Blood and Thunder is definitely something. It's on Comixology. I believe it is on Unlimited. So if you are an Amazon Prime member, you get it for free. If not, I think it's under $12, so it's not that, it's not definitely not going to break the bank. But definitely check it out. Thor: Blood and Thunder, highly recommended.
Sweet. So for my second pick, I'm going to recommend Strangers in Paradise. If you've never read it, kind of a 90s indie darling, dipping back into my decade. But
you're old.
No, I'm not. I'm not 40 until September, so stop. Cat's out of the bag. But
Right.
It tells the story of the friendship between these two women, Francine and Kachu, and it walks this line between friendship and true love, platonic love, romantic love. Kachu, as it turns out, has a dark past as a hit woman that catches up with her. Francine has a kind of comically doofus ex-boyfriend who can't stop cheating on her, and when they're together, and then can't stop bumbling his way into their lives. So there's soap opera, there's drama, but it's beautifully written human drama, and it's available in 6 volumes. I forgot to check because I was kind of inspired by what Nick was saying about Kanto and relationships when I thought about this. Yeah. But it outstanding stuff. So nice. Yeah, definitely worth your while. Very uplifting, very engaging human drama. Nick, what do you got for number 3?
Okay, so faith is the attitude that I need right now in the outlook in the world. Kanto is the community, the sense of relationships. I'm going to go with number 3, Collapser, because Collapser from DC's Young Animal imprint, that book is the introspective voice in your head that's saying not everything's going to be all right. And in dealing with that voice, I think is something that everybody's kind of struggling with right now. Collapser is the story of a man who lives with a literal black hole inside of his chest. And that black hole feeds on all of his worst emotions. And with that, you get anxiety, you get depression, you get, disconnection from all of your loved ones. It's a story that tackles those very mental illness themes through the lens of a superhero story. It's familiar in the way it approaches the storytelling, but it handles these topics and these themes that I think are highly relatable right now with a lot of tact and a lot of responsibility. This is somebody, I believe, Mikey Way has a particular insight into this struggle, and you can see it in the book. And this is something that, it's about overcoming these things, but it's not about just wishing them away. It's about confronting these emotions and these thoughts and that voice inside your head, and what you can do with the black hole that feels like it's just sucking everything out of you. It grants you crazy powers. He can travel through time. He can do all these weird things with it, but it causes some weird moments that makes you look at yourself. And I think books that do that carry a lot of weight, and they're a bit more powerful in the medium. So Collapser is something that I think if you're kind of struggling with that internal process right now, that's the book that I would recommend to go to. Like, it's escapism, but it has a very real impact on you and how you're coping with things right now.
Dude, that's awesome.
Very cool.
You put a lot more thought into your thematic elements than either of us, I think.
I know, right? Like, I don't even want to tell you my last recommendation. I'm just ready just to leave and go, well, thanks for tuning in to the Nick Osborne show. You know?
Like this is comics, like I said, it's escapism. And comics are my coping mechanism. In struggling times like this, storytelling is where I find a lot of my strength. And in finding these things in certain characters and the world outlook and internal monologues and relationships, that is, ultimately what we're all here for. And
totally.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
But yeah,
all right, round 3.
I don't even want to say anything anymore. But no. So this is something back in, I think, 2008. I want to say 2008. Creators Mark Millar and Tommy Lee Edwards came up with a little series called 1985 from Marvel. This is something I vastly remember. I was real quick. I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida. And I remember going through the previews. Yeah, I know, right? So I was going through previews and I saw this and I was like, this is really cool because it's about a kid who's named Toby, who comes from a bad family, and his escapism is comics, right? So he is always going through comics. He is just, comics is his thing, right? But he comes across this house, and it has been inhabited by every Marvel villain that you could think of. So it doesn't matter if it's coming from an X book, Fantastic Four, Thor, whatever Marvel villain you can think of is hanging out in this house, right? And so now Toby has to rally all of the Marvel heroes to save the world. I mean, what kid doesn't dream about rallying Wolverine and Captain America and Thor and to save the world, right? And the one thing about 1985 that I like is and kind of going back to Nick's Emmy-nominated explanation of his comics that he reads, is the escapism, because there's this one, I wish I could remember the issue, but there's this layout where MODOK has mind controlled all of these people in the town, and he's leading them into a river and essentially leading them to their death. And that, I just remember reading that, and I'm reading it and I'm looking at it and I'm going, because Magneto is on the page too and he's talking to MODOK, and I'm like, that is some hardcore stuff right there. Like, that completely, I mean, MODOK is already, pardon my French, is already an ass to boot, but to lead the town to pretty much their own death is just so powerful, and these issues is just so powerful. And it's something, once again, is what I wanted to pick with these books is Maximum Carnage, Thor Blood and Thunder, 1985, is stuff that I read now. I've been reading for years and years and years, whether I was on deployments, whether I'm teleworking. These are just some of the books that I always grab, because the art is good, the story is good, and it has escapism, and you can just lose yourself in these great comics, these great stories by great storytellers and great artists, and just forget, pardon my French again, the shitty world that we are currently in right now. But yeah, 1985, Thor Blood and Thunder, Maximum Carnage, all on Comixology. Check it out. I know for my hardcore, I don't read digital comics, now you may want to get that Comixology login going, because who knows when you're going to be able to get that print copy. So don't be afraid, don't shun the digital, copies now. But yeah, like I said, 1985, Thor Blood and Thunder, Maximum Carnage, highly recommended for that shut-in reading, for all personal and just very loved books. That's my recommendations.
Sick. So my final recommendation, skewing more towards traditional superheroes, is Fantastic Four run by Walt Simonson. It was pretty brief. It was actually only, I think, 18 or 19 issues, issues 334 to 353, I think, with one fill-in issue in there. But it is outstanding. Walt Simonson is a master of the form. Of course, he gave us the greatest Thor run ever outside of Lee and Kirby. And there's just an intelligence to the way that Simonson approaches the FF that marries with a sense of fun and exploration that really, really stands this pretty brief run out. And I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. One of the last issues, it's the big requisite Reed versus Doom issue, and they're tumbling through time throughout the issue, and sporadically throughout the issue, like sometimes it's a page, sometimes it's a panel, sometimes it's several panels on the page, and including the cover, they have a different time signature on it. And if you read it straight through, you get this disjointed story that kind of makes sense at the end. But if you take the time to actually read the panels in chronological order, you've got a whole different ballgame. And it's just so brilliant. And this run is just full of stuff like that, including 3 issues with the quote-unquote new FF, Great Hulk, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, and Wolverine, drawn by none other than Art Adams. If I can't sell you on that, I don't know what else I can sell you on.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
it's peak superhero comics, and because it's such a brief run, it's not like a huge commitment of your time or anything. It is on Comixology. I know Marvel recently collected it in an Epic collection, but Comixology has it in 3 volumes under the old Marvel Visionaries banner. So that's my third. I would be remiss if I didn't quickly name drop Planetary for our erstwhile watcher, Cody White. He would be sad if I didn't. So by God, if you haven't read Planetary, shame on you, because it is actually like super brilliant. But that's it for us this week. Thank you for listening to this kind of different episode. We didn't want to just do our normal shtick. It didn't feel responsible of us in the light of everything that's going on. So, again, thanks for listening. Support your LCS however you can. And for God's sake, just be kind to each other, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, be kind to people that work in retail. Let's throw that out there for good measure. But I'm Matt. This is Nick. This is Mike. This has been the Comic Watchers episode number 72. Next week, we have a major surprise, huge hour-long interview with a super secret guest. No, it's not David Dastmalchian again. I'm sorry, Mike. But
goodbye. Thank you. Thanks for
Twitter. We're going to be dropping clues throughout the intervening days, and we'll do the big reveal the day before the episode. So keep your eyes peeled. We're the Comic Watchers. We're part of comic-watch.com. Thank you so much for listening.